Hello, this is Els coming to you from Bemis Crafty Corner. And real quick, I'm going to answer a question that came in comments on one of my previous videos. Video that I have that I'm working on right now on this book. So, on this book, I used a 5-point system. And so somebody asked me if I would better show how to use that system. So I'm going to do that for you today, okay? Alright, so first things first, let's talk about what we're going to need to do this. We're going to need signatures. This one's just a single piece of paper, but it's for demonstration purposes. We're going to need an actual book that we've built with a nice spine. We're going to need some wax thread, an awl, a pen or pencil, a ruler, and a needle, okay? And then something that we can poke into. So my pokey is like 6 sheets of that foam stuff, and I glued them all together, okay? And the needle that I choose to use is this right here. This is not sharp. This is a very dull needle, and this is actually for plastic canvas, okay? That's how you can buy them. You can get them at Walmart. They sell like 2 or 3 of them in a pack for 97 cents. But they're called plastic canvas needles, okay? They're dull at the tip, and they have these nice large openings because usually when you're doing plastic canvas, you're using yarn or a couple of layers of embroidery thread. So, they're not very pokey. So, the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to build a template. Now, in order to do that, we're going to use this. This is going to be our pretend binding. Okay? So on our pretend binding, all you have to do is just measure the width, which for this one is 1.5 inches. You divide the 1.5 inches. Now, it's pretty simple to do. You just come in 1/4 inch, come in 1/4 inch, come in 1/4 inch, come in 1/4 inch. And then you'll find that you have this like spot in the middle, which is this piece right here. You put a mark. Then you just divide this same way. What's half that distance? It's 3/4 inch. So you can come in 1/4, go in 1/4, and then there's the 1/8. You put a mark, and you do the same thing on the other side. At the top, you just put a T. That's your top. Okay? You draw your lines down. Then you take your length, and you divide it. Now this one happens to be 8 inches. So I came in 1 inch on either end, and that left me 6 inches in the center. So I went in 3 inches, and I put a mark. I divided 3 inches in half, which is 1.5 inches, and I put a mark, and I put a mark, and then I put some lines, and I end up with this grid pattern. Then I took my awl, and every place my grid crossed, I poked a hole. Okay? Should have 15 holes if you're using a 5 system. Now, normally you would do this on a piece of cardstock, and it would look like this. And then, in order to make sure that you get all your signatures lined up properly, you would then fold this on whichever signature number it is. If it's your first signature, you do your first one. The second signature, you second, third. You divide that, you fold this in half, put it inside of your signature, pull it down as tight as you can, determine where in your book you want the top of your signatures to be, and then you would mark that on your template. That way, when you put your signatures in, they are all the same length, and they all hit, I'll show you on the bottom, at the same place. Now, on this particular book, I wanted them to be right at the inside liner. See? I wanted them all to sit right there at the edge of the liner. So I just measured them so that they would sit there. The top of this one comes to the top of the liner, and the bottom goes to the bottom of the liner, and it's the same way all the way through the book. See? Nice and easy and clean. See that? Look at the book. Okay. So how do I stitch this up? Well, we all know how to do a pamphlet stitch, you know? Start in the middle and you come up. Well, this is the same thing. It's just longer. So we're going to take our needle. We're going to put our thread through. Now you can use wax thread, you can use embroidery floss, you can use whatever you have. If you have jute twine, and that's what you want to use that. If you have cotton twine, use that. Whatever you want to use. Now, to make it a little more secure, if you're using jute twine or like a cotton twine, I suggest that you put it on a block of beeswax and you run it through the beeswax a couple of times just to get a little wax coating on it. Helps it move a little smoother, and it also helps it grip. So just like with a regular pamphlet stitch, you're going to start in the middle and you're going to go down. Now, I recommend that you start at the beginning of your signatures and work your way out. So I always do the middle one first. Okay? Then it doesn't matter if you go up or you go down. You're going to come up from the outside of the book back to the inside of the signature. Then you're going to go to the next hole. Down. You're always working up and down. Okay? Then you'll come back up to the hole that you came up in the first place. Gotta find the hole. There we go. You're going to come back up through that. Then you're going to go down through the center hole again. You're going to come up through the next hole up. Going down through the top hole. Back up through the hole that you just went down. One step back down. And that takes you back to where you're at the middle. Go under the two threads. See both of those? I'm going to go under both of those, just like that. And now I can take my two ends and I can snug them up. Now that wax coating is going to help hold that. All right? So now the piece that has your needle on it, that's your over piece. So you're simply going to take your over, and it goes over, behind, and through. Okay? Then you're going to use your short piece, and it's going to go over, behind, and through. And then you're going to cut this wax thread off. That's it. You've done a 5-point. You've got a nice solid line out here of stitching on the outside of your book. You have a nice solid line on the inside of your book. So both portions are now solid. There's not a lot of give in this because we tightened it nicely. You know, you've got enough in there to put your paper and for your paper to move around without it falling apart. And if you use any of these shorter pieces, you know that you've at least grabbed it in 2 places, okay? Here, you've actually got it in 3 places, and that's pretty good. But if you had an even narrower piece, you might have grabbed it in 2. But at least you have it in 2, which means you have a solid piece of paper at some point holding this from just instead of you only did a 3-point, you have one up here and one down here and one in the middle, and you've only got one piece of holding that on, and it comes right off because it's only stitched in one place. Okay? So that's it. That's it. It's pretty simple. You can add dangles and buttons and things to this just like you can with a 3. It's just the extra stitch. It's really just adding one extra loop on your stitching. Okay? So I hope this was helpful. If you have any more questions or you need any further help in doing this, please, by all means, let me know in the comment section. Send me an email. Reach out to me on Facebook. I frequently put my chat, my private chat, in during live streams. So if you see me in a live stream and you need to talk to me, go, hey, Els, I have a question. I will certainly put a friend in for you. You'll see it come up on your live stream request. Go ahead and chat. We won't disturb anybody because it's a private chat, and you will be able to talk to me and ask me any questions that you have. And as always, I am more than happy to do any video that you specifically request if you need assistance with something. So, just remember, Draw out a template for your grid on a special separate piece of paper. Mark top and bottom where you want things to sit so that you know where to line this up on your signatures when you're putting them together. Use your template to poke the holes on your binder, on your binding. Use the same template to poke the holes on your signatures, lining up that line, tucking it in tight, poke your holes. Now everything's going to line up perfectly when you put this together, okay? All right. If you have any other questions, let me know. Until the next time, guys, subscribe, like me, ring my bell, share me. We're making a book. I'll see you guys. Bye-bye.